whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hook of force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Ko te reo whakahei, ko te reo pōwhiri, tēnei o Taringa e whakapāho atu nei kia koutou. E ngā iwi, e ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā tautangata, e ngā huihuinga, e ngā tōpu mana, nau mai, hoki mai anei ki te punua pāho o Taringa e whakapāho atu nei i te pīki taone o te aomutu. Me tētehi atu taone tōna pīki nei, tokoroa, me tētehi taone pakupaku nei a kirikiri roa. Ana ko mātou tokotoru tēnei ata, ko mātou, ko Erica, ko Jared, ko MC Grammar in the whare.
Yeah!
Grammar time.
Me te aroha ki a te puaheiri i tēnei rā, hoi anō, i wāna nei hoki anei tātou e hoa mā kia ora hui tātou katoa, coming at you i tēnei ata under the auspices of Te Wānanga Aotearoa with the support of Te Māngai Pāho and Irirangi Te Motu. There you go, boom!
There we go, kia ora, kia ora.
Kia ora. Oh, e tai. You know, I just love the way you're able to change your voice and the way you deliver our mihi, then you go to this real deep tone ne te whānau. Ngai Taringa, we must be in for a real awesome episode I tēnei rā. Nō reira, tēnā koe e tai. E whakatau nei, tēnā koe Erica e pēwhia ana.
E ora pai ana ahau. Yeah, no, actually, pretty good. I don't know if, well, you guys know, but yeah, I've got some mahanga baking in the oven, so.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going great.
And you've got that beautiful glow.
Oh, thank
You've got that beautiful mummy glow, Erica.
You've got that natural glow. Kei te mara koe ki aia, Erica. The natural glow.
Oh, natural glow. Suzanne Paul. Was that it?
Suzanne Paul.
What an awesome pānui. Ngai Taringa, there, Erica sharing with the rest of you that she's got some mahanga. Ka pai, we've got some new members of the whānau. Mm-hmm. And do we know a due date yet, Erica?
Oh, hei te raumati.
Oh, te raumati. That's when it's wetter.
Oh, no. There's a due date, but twins usually come a bit earlier, so.
Oh, ka rawe. Kia pai mai hoki.
Wina.
Nā reira e hoa mā, tēnā tātou. Tēnā tātou i ngā mihi whakatau a praone. A taku rangatira, i a tātou, i a koutou Ngai Taringa, o tiraki a tātou katoa i tēnei rā. And of course, it is my pleasure to be back with you. It's been a little while. And of course, you know, we're going to be having a look at another one of our grammar sessions.
Yes.
Now, e te iwi, you know, just to let you know that the kiwaha that I'm going to share with you today, I want to give a little bit of history. So I just told our friends, Praone and Erica, that I'm just getting ready to go to a tangi. And the tangi is for our last uncle. So my grandfather was in Ormsby, and this kaumātua who passed away, he's the last of my grandfather's siblings. Nō reira, te kaumā ono rātou ngā tamariki. Ai.
Wow, nice.
Kare kau he tiwi I e rā wā e hoa mā.
Oh.
So he's the last of 16 children. And of course, whenever I used to listen to this kaumātua, Uncle Les, I used to hear my grandfather. Yeah, so just the way that his voice was very similar to my grandfather's, the way they used to express things was very similar to my grandfather's. And so whenever I had the opportunity to sit with him, my thoughts used to return to our old people because, you know, they had a similar way of talking. And anyway, this kiwaha that I want to share with you is something that my grandfather and grandmother used to use all the time. And the kiwaha is inākoa. Ne?
Inākoa.
Koe nei tā tātou kiwaha o te rā, ne, ko inākoa.
Inākoa, I-N-A, space K-O-A.
Oh, great. Thanks for the clarification.
Ai. So, ko te inākoa, I can remember, you know, as you would on the Sunday, my grandfather would be at the table and we'd be just finished having a repi-repi. Ka pai o a rerepi. That type of porridge. Come on, praone, hea te repi-repi.
Well, kia ai, he repi-repi, he rerepi rānei, and we used to call it the Māori porridge. It's pretty much flour and water.
Ai. It's an edible glue. It's an edible paste.
Glue. Do you sweeten it with anything?
Oh, yes. You've got to have it with cream and brown sugar.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, we'll be sitting there and e kaiana mātou, and then he would get out his newspaper. And my grandmother, she was terrible for looking over people's shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so she would be behind him looking over his shoulder, and I would hear her say, inakua. Yeah. And inakua, in that context, meant, can I have a look or let me see?
Oh.
Yeah.
Pai.
So that's how she would use it. Inakua.
Inakua.
Can I have a look or let me see? Now, I remember them having a fight as well, because there's also a rude way of expressing things. And when she was being rude or impatient, instead of saying inakua, she would actually say ikua.
Wow.
Yeah. She would say ikua. And I thought to myself, what the heck is she talking about? And my grandfather would turn around and say to her, geez, you're bloody rude. You know, so she would be looking over his shoulder going, ikua. And, you know, that was a rude way of using that kiwaha, you know, a very demanding, assertive way.
Okay.
But the full kiwaha is actually inakua. And I think it's good for some of our Taringa listeners out there to know that actually you can have kiwaha and shortened forms of kiwaha as well. But inakua is the only one that I'm aware of that I heard used in our whare.
So would ikua be like the same meaning, but you're, instead of saying, can I see? Or...
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Tino tika tēnā. And you can see the change in the, ikua. That's exactly right.
Jeez, man, kaya koe etahi kiwaha, like ngā kiwaha paku nei, like your ero and he rawe. And you know, kare anō kia rongo I tēnei whakamahinga o te inakua.
Ai.
Yeah.
So, nō koe tupake ana, koe rā te kiwaha I rongo wai au me te horopaki. So that's the context in which I heard it. Now, when I went to university, I had the pleasure of studying under Waldo Hui.
Oh, I know that name.
Ai ko Warutau. And he actually used to use inakua a lot within his kōrero. And in that context, he would use it to mean, for instance, or in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there was a different context to the inakua that I understood when I was growing up.
Yeah, and no, tērā whakamahinga te mea wareto, a Waldo. Oh, he was a crack up. You'd have to use that within a sentence, eh? Engari, ko tāuna I rongo ai koe I tō kaumātua I tō koraua. It was a tō kuia, tō tupuna. It was a standalone kiwaha.
That's exactly right. Ai.
Yeah.
So the inakua, like, give me a look, let me see. Now, that was a standalone kiwaha. However, the kiwaha inakua, which means for instance or in particular, you know, that sort of context, it would have to be used in a longer sentence, you know, as part of something.
Pai.
I could remember Waldo saying, inakua, kia tirohi e tātou e nei whārangi, mai te whārangi so-and-so, ki te whārangi so-and-so. Yeah, and so now we could see the context in which inakua was used there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, would you have, when he would be using this, would you have been confused and had to go and get his explanation, or you just kind of picked it up in the way that he used it?
Yeah, well, it took me half a day to really understand what he was saying because I was already had my mind set in how we used it at home.
Yeah.
So it's really good, you know, kia kōrero tiake tēnei mea te kano rautanga in terms of the diversity and how kiwaha are used.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi, so inakua ngai taringa, there's two ways you can use it. Can I have a look? Let me see if it's a standalone kiwaha. Or if we're wanting to use it in context within a wider sentence, it can mean in particular, for instance, you know, and other translations there.
Cool.
Hoka he karema. No reira, kia hoki whakamuri tātou ki a tātou kōrero I muatura. I just want to have a little bit of a huritau. Okay, so the last time we got together and had a bit of a kōrero, we looked at derived nouns.
Tangas.
No reira, koe rā tā tātou kaupapa I muatura. I tirohia hoki e tātou te hononga I wainganui I ngā derived nouns me ngā passive suffixes. So if you remember ngai taringa, we had a look at, Erica's starting to stress out because she knows that we're going to pick on her because Te Pua Heidi isn't here.
Yes. And Jared said that this level today is going to be quite high.
Yeah, we're going to get into some complex stuff.
Woo!
We had a look at derived nouns, kapai, and the relationship to the passive endings. So as an example, we had a look at moe, and then we know that the passive form of moe can be moea. And then, of course, when we take the derived noun, we have the word moenga. And so there was a relationship there. Kapai?
Yeah.
There are other examples like kimi, kimihia, and kimihanga.
Kimihanga.
Yeah. So we know that there's a relationship between the derived noun endings, kapai, and the passive endings. And 9 times out of 10, there's a, he hononga, I wainganui e rā mea e rua.
Yes.
And I think a really good one, especially for Erica, was the word inu, where we had inu, then we had inumia, and then, of course, the derived noun would be inumanga.
Inumanga.
So just he pakuhuri tau, just to cast our minds back to what we discussed before. And then we went up another level.
Yeah, oh man.
Yeah, where we had a look at tūmahi poro. Yeah, tūmahi poro, which are intransitive verbs. And sometimes when we're talking about intransitive verbs within the derived noun context, sometimes they change from the a to the o. Okay, so this is just a little bit of revision. Yeah, I know. Exhale. Ne, haki waho. Puha. However you want to phrase that. So we had things like tō rātou haerenga, tō rātou hokinga. And of course, an example that I heard used by our old people, tō mātou hui ngātu ki te kiingi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for a lot of Taringa listeners, they would know that haere, hoki, and hui are actually verbs. But it seems that when we change to the words haerenga, hokinga, huinga, and other examples, they also change from the a to the o. And there are a lot of examples out there in our old texts, which e tautoko ana I tēnei kōrero. Ka pai? Is that a hard and fast rule? I've never seen a hard and fast rule, but when you look at the patterns, koe nei te āhua ne, ka huri I te nuinga o te wā, mai te ā ki te o.
Okay.
And then we got to something that I got a little bit of a growling from Paraone. Yeah, we sort of like in the one episode, we went one step a little bit too far. And it was when we started talking about hāngu. So as an example, sometimes we're using the derived noun like the word whakawhitinga.
Yeah.
Ne? Whakawhitinga. Now we know that whakawhitinga can mean the crossing. Yeah?
Yep.
And I think Paraone preferred another word as opposed to whakawhitinga. Hoero. Whakawhitianga. Ai, whakawhitianga. Just like whakahouanga. Yeah? But sometimes what our old people did, they used the derived noun, like whakawhitinga, but they would use it in a passive context. Yeah? So one of the examples I takoto I au, I te rātua, was I te whakawhitinga o te manga tāwhiri e te Pākehā. Yeah?
What's wrong with that?
Well, now that's a really good question. Because it sounds good, eh?
Yeah, it sounds legit.
It sounds legit. But actually, for a lot of our listeners out there, if we're learning passives, we go, e te Pākehā, we know that that's part of a passive context by the Pākehā. But when we have a look at the word whakawhitinga or whakawhitianga, it hasn't actually taken a passive ending. It's taken a derived noun ending.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of our people will be going, a lot of our listeners out there will be thinking,
wait a minute,
ooh,
where's the passive?
yeah, hold up. That's right. MC Grammar's made a mistake. But actually there is an allowance there where we use the derived noun, but overall we actually put it in a passive sentence. Ne?
Yeah, I see now.
So another example, which is probably a little bit clearer, that we used last time was I te pāhuatanga. Yeah, so we know pāhuatanga, and we know tanga is a derived noun ending. I te pāhuatanga o rangi aowhia e ngā hoia. Yeah? So when rangi aowhia was plundered by the soldiers. So we know pāhuatanga has been used as actually a derived noun, but it's actually been used in a passive sentence. And that's something that can be really confusing for a lot of our listeners out there.
Yeah.
Yeah? So a lot of people would prefer I te pāhua tia o rangi awhia e ngā hoia.
Okay.
Yeah?
So you can do that.
You can do that. But you can also say I te pāhuatanga o rangi awhia e ngā hoia. And then we've got a mixture there, and that's where things can get a little confusing. E whakaaro o e tai?
Ka o engari ai, ka rongo te tangata e ako ana I ngā rere hāngu. Me te reo, ka rangona tēnei takotoranga, whakatakotoranga o te kupu, ka hane pīpea.
Ai.
Ka timata te pātai, wait on, that's not the, ngā he derived noun ke tēnei. Ei, te patunga o te kuri e te tangata.
Koina. Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, hea tāhua.
So how are you feeling, Erica? You know, because I know that you're still coming along in our te reo Māori journey. How are you coping with that?
To be honest, if I was listening to someone and they used that, I wouldn't even pick up on it. I'll just hear the and I'm like, oh, yep, that's the person who done it.
Yeah, ka pai.
Wouldn't even probably pick up on whether it was a anga, ngā, ria, tia ending, to be honest.
Well, actually, he pai tēnā ki au, nā te mea ko o taringa Māori e mahi nei. Yeah, so you're accepting the language for what it is and you understood it in the overall context. Yeah? So if you started to get confused going, oh, why has this person used the tanga, and you don't understand the overall sentence, now that wouldn't be the best situation to be in.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself and just assuming what they're saying.
So, you know, I thought within our revision, I roti tā tātou huritau, it was just good to spend a little bit more time on that to explain it for our taringa listeners, that, you know, sometimes we need to learn to accept this type of structure. Especially mō ngā mea, you know, āhua kaha nei te reo, te rāpea he tau hou, tēnei momo whakatakotoranga ki a rātou, engari kāre he mate o tēnei whakatakotoranga. He nui te whakamahinga o tēnei rerenga e o tātou tūpuna.
Ai.
Oh, yes, I got the nod of approval from the man himself.
You lined yourself up for that one.
Now that I'm aware of it, I think I might notice it.
Ka pai tēnā, he rawe tēnā whakaaro Erica. And you know, yeah, sometimes we just have to sit there and let us absorb the reo. Yeah? Okay. Nā reira, I rungi tēnā whakaaro, kia tahuri tātou ki tā tātou kaupapa hou
Okay.
I tēnei rā. And
That wasn't it.
That was just our revision. That was just our huritau. And it's
Tika I te mea ka e paku kōrero tia nei I te rātu. Engari kāre āta kōrero tia e tahi.
Nō reira, whakaaro ake au, you know, I tēnei wāhanga me whakawhānui pia ngā kōrero. Kia pai ai tā tātou koke whakamua. So let's move on to our actual kaupapa for this session e te whānau. And we are going to go back and have a look at our pūtohu or our mana particles. And we're going to be trying to bring them into what we discussed last time. So I tēnei wā ngai taringa, ko kōrero tātou mō ngā rerenga hāngu, but in particular we're going to be talking about, wait for it,
Dun, 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 dun.
modifying mana particles.
Modifying mana particles, okay.
Yep, ka pai. And Erica's face just dropped off. So we're going to be talking about modifying mana particles. Okay, you're probably thinking to yourselves, how hoki te modifying mana particle?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
So within our mana particles, we have the words kau, noa, tonu, rawa, and ke. Okay? And actually, when we use kau, noa, tonu, rawa, and ke, in a passive sentence, they actually take a passive ending as well. Okay? So as an example...
Oh, yep.
Yep, ka pai. So you're with us. Ke tia. Ai. So ke tia. And I'm pretty sure that we've already had a look at this within our taringa sessions. Ka pai. So as an example, Erica, if I was to say, e keria ana te rua e ngā tāne. How te whakapākehātanga o tēnā?
Oh, the hole has been dug by the men.
Ka pai, the hole is being dug by the men. Now, if I was to say to you, e keria tonu tiana te rua e ngā tāne, how has that changed? How have we modified our sentence?
The hole is still being dug?
Yeah, ka pai. Ka pai tēnā. And so, of course...
Ka pai, Erica.
Tino pai, Erica. Yeah. So let's have a look at another example. I ruiruia te whenua ki ngā purapura. E tai, hea ki a koe te whakapākea o tēnei rerenga. I ruiruia te whenua ki ngā purapura.
The ground or the land was sprinkled with seeds.
Ta pai.
Oh.
Now, let's chuck a kētia in there. Yeah? I ruiruia kētia te whenua ki ngā purapura. E tai?
The ground or land has already been sprinkled with seeds.
Ka pai. So within these modifying manner particles, ka pai, we use them in our passive sentences, and 9 times out of 10, they take the tia ending. Yeah? So we can have ke tia, tonu tia, noa tia, rawa tia. Yeah? And that's how we would use them in our passive sentences. Now, I know that this is probably an episode we've already studied, but I just want to move on a little bit from there. So we have kau, noa, tonu, rawa, and ke. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I think it was actually Auntie Pans that come up with kāna taraka. Yeah, or a contract.
Oh.
Kāna taraka. So, kāna taraka, and he pūmahara tērā, mau mahara ai te tangata ko e whia ngā modifying manner particles e tikāna I roto I ngā rerenga hāngu. So that's one, yeah? Let's have a look at other words that actually don't take a passive ending, but we can use them in our passive sentences.
Oh,
yeah?
okay.
Yeah. So there are other modifying manner particles like pea, yeah, or like anō. Now let's have a kōrero about anō. So we know that there's a lot of people out there, and perhaps this is an iwi preference, that we use the word anōtia. Yeah? Ka keria anōtia te rua e ngā tāne. Now there are some iwi that use anōtia, but I grew up, I never heard our old people use anōtia. He whakaaro o e tai? Ki te anōtia?
Ka reo e whakai.
Well, and there we have it, ngai taringa. It was just ka reo e whakai, ka re hoki au e whakai. And it's something that people hear the word kautia, tonutia, rawatia, and they think, oh, well, perhaps anō is also within that whānau. But
Yeah.
I know that I'm quite clear about that anō does not take the passive ending.
Tahi ana he pē te wā, e moha nau mehe ko te rānotia,
Ai,
engari he rere ke tērā.
ai, he rere ke
Yeah.
anō tērā.
Te rānotia.
Ko te anō, me tōna kotahi, kia au nei karau e whakai ana ke whai kūmuri hāngu. Yeah? Ka pai. Now, let's move on to probably our last kaupapa for this session. And it's something that a lot of people...
Oh, hold up.
Okay,
Is hockey one of those that don't take a passive? Could that be one or no?
hoki does not take a passive as well. Ne?
No. Kaua.
Kore.
Yep. So, you know, some examples that don't take a passive ending, ko hoki te tehi, ko pea, ko anō, ko koa. Yeah, so they don't take a passive ending, but can still be used in passive sentences.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Engari, ko te kaupapa tuatoru, koe nei pēr te kaupapa kāre nei e kaharango nāna I te nuinga o te hunga kōrero Māori. And I've sort of like named them, I'm not too sure if it's the right name, but I've called them modifying verb or noun phrases. Okay? So it's actually where you use words like whānui, katoa, pēnei, pēnā, pērā, kino, haere. So there's a whole lot of words that actually, they're not particles, they're words or verbs or nouns within their own right, but they also take a passive ending. Now, you know, within the knowledge that ko te koro neihana o kingi tūheitia I tēnei wiki, I remember my grandmother talking about the lands, ka pai, and te tehi kōrero e kaha mahara nāu, ko tana kōrero e whenei ana, I mahi a kinotia o mātou whenua. Yeah? I mahi a kinotia.
I mahi a kinotia.
Ai. I mahi a kinotia o mātou whenua. So when you're listening to that, Erica, ne, he hara o whakaaro, he hara te whakapākehātanga ki a koe, I mahi a kinotia o mātou whenua.
Our land was used for bad things?
Ai, okay, ka pai. E tai hea ki a koe, I mahi a kinotia o mātou whenua.
Our land was used badly.
Aye. So, in the context of what she was talking about how the land was actually confiscated illegally.
Ah, right.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you know, e tika ana tēnā, but within the context, she was actually talking about how our land was illegally confiscated. So, I mahi a kinotia o mātou whenua. So, a lot of people would be thinking, why does kino take a passive ending?
Yeah, especially after what you just said.
That's right. So, there are standalone nouns or verbs that do take that passive ending. So if I was to say to you, Erica, mahi a whenei tia. Yeah, if I was to say to you, mahi a whenei tia. So I'll put it in context. Ne?
Okay.
I'm demonstrating something to you. And you're not really paying any attention to me and you're going off on your own way. I'll say to you, hey, kau, mahi a whenei tia. What do you think I've just said?
Do it like this.
Ka pai. That's exactly right. E tika ana tēnā. Ne? Do it like this. So mahi a whenei tia. Another example would be if we were to go back to our keriana I te rua, if I was to say to you, I keria haeretia te rua e ngā tāne. I keria haeretia te rua e ngā tāne.
The hole is being dug by the men.
It's a hard one, eh? This is a hard one.
It's happening. It's gradually happening.
And it's trying to fit in the haeretia within the context, eh? I keria haeretia te rua e ngā tāne. He ara ki a koe e tai?
Keria haeretia, the hole was dug not continually, but e ngana nei ki te kimi tētai whakapākeatanga pai.
Yeah. So, I would use the sort of like dug around or dug about, and you can sort of like picture someone digging a hole, but they're moving as they're doing it, as opposed to being stationary in one place.
Right.
So when you start within our passive sentences, going into what I say, taumata tuarua, taumata tuatoru, where we start using different levels of language, then things can actually become quite tricky.
And this is how you would like paint really amazing pictures with reo. By adding in all these little words, making it super descriptive with just these little words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't paint to save myself. But, when we start having a look at language, I actually like, tēnā whakaaro. If we're thinking about language as an art, well, this is how we, all the inflections and all these little rules of grammar is how we paint that beautiful masterpiece within our reo.
Exactly, Anna.
So there's, ngai taringa, mea he tauhou e nei kōrero ki a koutou, ka pai. So just to our taringa listeners out there, if we're just starting with being able to use an air in our passive sentences, e pai ana tēnā. Engari, he ture, he rawakehanga, he whakarākeihanga anō I roto I ngā rerenga hāngu. So there are other ways that we can fancy our sentences up. And by using our modifying noun phrases, our modifying verb phrases, our modifying manner particles, that's how we start getting more complex within our use of passive sentences. Nā reira, koe nei tā tātou kaupapa I tēnei rā, e te whānau. Yeah, having a look at our passive sentences, which I know we've had a look at within our previous sessions of Taringa, but it's just taking it that one step further. Hei whakarongo mai mā koutou I tēnei rā.
Very cool.
Pewhia no roro, Erica?
Oh, I'm just kind of feeling inspired. I went to this, everyone knows I am no grammar person, so this is not my sort of art form, but I went to this multi-party conference recently, and one of the speakers, when they were talking about reo, said something like, what is a language but a poetry of a masterpiece? And I was like, oh my God, he's so right.
And that resonated with you, ne?
Yeah. And I was like, yep, it's an art. Just not an art that I'm good at, but it's an art.
No reira, ngai taringa, mea he rite o koutou whakaaro ki o Erica. So, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, just like any masterpiece, if you want to create a masterpiece, you actually have to put your brush to the canvas.
Kia ora.
Which means you also have to give it a go. If we want to create that language masterpiece, sometimes, when I was writing, and this is how old I am, we used to have twink. Yeah, we used to have a go at writing Aotea and we used to twink things out. And it's just like experiencing, coming on this language journey. Sometimes we need to make those mistakes, but always be mindful of, hey, there is another way of saying things. I can make this a little bit more complex. I can make this sentence a little bit more beautiful by using some of these mana particles.
Yeah.
Te reira, koe nei tā tātou kaupapa e hoa mā, ko te tumanako I whai hua, a tātou kōrero I tēnei wā. Me te tumanako, ko ngā mea I pai ki a koutou, koe nei e tehi āhuatanga, hei whakamahi mai mā koutou, e ngai taringa. No reira, kia ora tātou.
Okay.
Tēnā rawa atu koe tai. E mihi ake ana, and I know that Erica's, I'm going to be hearing, I patua haere tia, I mahia haere tia, ka rango nau, I te mahinga mai o te meara e ia.
Oh my gosh.
Engari, e tika tā, ia
Set me
tato
up
e
for a
korona mo
challenge
te...
here.
Yeah. But it is, and it's the, we're talking about the canvas of the brush. In other words, it's looking at it as adding flavour,
Condiments.
So while you've got, yes,
Kinaki.
some little sprinklings just to give your reo a bit more flavour. And really, even though the grammar definition may be complex, whatever, that's only a grammar definition. A definition by way of grammar. Kaua koutou e maharahara I te kupu, e rangirua rānei I te kupu, e hopi rānei I te kupu complex. Ki te rongo I te complex, you think, oh my God, what do you think Wareto's word would be for complex? Komopreke, probably.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So it's a grammar term. E te whānau, that's what I wanted to say. Don't think because it says complex, e tahi o koutou kare anō kia tai ki tētahi taumata e taia nei e koutou tēnei reo e kōrero tia nei te whai, te kōrero me te ako.
Ai,
Koina
tautoko.
tāku kia tātou. Hoi no, e mihi ake ana MC Grammar.
Tēnā koe, tēnā
He's a
kōrua.
grammar freak. Grammar freak.
Tēnā koe. Grammar
He
freak.
knows his E's and K's and the R and O's are down. The passes, they won't make you frown. And he's funky in Tokoroa town. He's a grammar freak, grammar freak, grammar freak.
Now, e hoa mā, if you could see what Paraone is wearing on his t-shirt, he's got the word dope on there. And that was a pretty dope impromptu rap there,
It was impromptu, yes.
Impromptu,
But
yes.
e te whānau, that is not te waiata o te wiki.
Unfortunately.
Actually, I think we should do a music video using that rangi. We'll put it into APRA. Anyway, watch the space e te whānau. Nō te iwi, anei te waiata o te wiki, I runga anu hoki ngā whakanuitanga I te rima te kau o ngā tau o te matatini. Anei te waiata e ko ana nā te kapahaka o te huinga waka. Tēnei o ngā kapahaka timatangi ara, muri wai I hākara rāwa ko tana hoa, a Venus, me rātou te hunga I neke ki Ahitereiria. This is our first kapahaka to ever come from
Really?
Ahitereiria, te whenua moemoea, back in the 80s.
Wow.
And this waiata e ko ana was one of the favourites. It was a choral piece that they performed at Te Matatini 1994, and then it was formerly known as the Aotearoa Māori Performing Arts Festival. Nō reira, e te whānau, whakarongo mai, e ko ana, kei te harikoa māua, kia harikoa tātou, whakarongo mai.
E koana, harikoa, koihura, koihura, koihura. harikoa taku piringa e ihu te arohae e ihu te ariki e koana oh harikoa
Kani move that body.
Boom.
Boom.
He koana,
cool.
he koana.
It's so interesting, you know, how all these waiata, you managed to bring up a little piece of historical fact that I just learnt.
Yes.
I did not know that the first Ahitereiria group started back then. I thought that was only a new thing.
Yeah, and you know when, actually it'd be a really good taringa to do, but I remember when Te Hui Ngā Waka came on the scene and it was such a big talk of the time. E haere mai ana tētahi kapahaka I Ahitereiria, and everybody had these funny perceptions of what they were going to do in their performance. Like, were they even going to do kapahaka?
Yeah.
E hoki ana oku whakaaro.
Wow.
Ki te rā wā.
Actually, kapahaka's come a long way in that respect. You know, there's kapa over in Dubai all the time and Hawaii.
Yeah, I've been to Hawaii to judge at a kapahaka festival over there, and it was amazing, the talent. You know, I whakaako, te kapahaka I toa, the year I went, and they haven't had that festival in a while, but the year that I was very honoured and privileged to judge at, a group that was probably 99% kanaka.
Really?
So Native Hawaiian one. There was one or two Māori in their group.
Cool.
One of them was the tutor, the pauako.
Did they stick tūturu to Māori styles or to kanaka Māori styles?
No, there was kapahaka, so me kapahaka.
Cool.
You know, if a Māori does a hula, you do the hula.
Yeah.
You know, when I caught up with their pauako hone, and hone was whakamā initially that they won, that they beat these groups. You know, we had a group come from Ngāti Rānana came, and they were amazing, from London. And then we had a couple of teams from Hawaii that were, you know, mainly Māori that lived in Hawaii,
Yeah.
in Oahu. And then this team from Kauai won. But anyway, later, he said it was a tutor's dream. You know, he said, practice start at 9, they're there at 8:30, ready to go. And
Really?
the hula is, or from what I've learnt in my little kōrero with friends that are kumu, so tutors of hula, of halo, you know, they're very, very, I wouldn't say, it's just a way of being. So they just transferred, those are the things they transferred into kapaaka.
Yeah.
So no, he was saying there was no chatter on the floor. There was, you know, be there this time, they're half an hour early. No moaning, no, you know.
No need a break for this and that.
You know, you tell people 10-minute break and they're gone for half an hour. Koenei te ahunga o te kapaaka. See, look, just where that song took us on a little wānanga, a little journey.
I'll say.
Engari, e te iwi, tēnā kia whakarongo tonu, go back and have a listen to the episode and do your own rangahau. I runga i ngā kōrero I putara I te rānei.
Yeah, I mean,
Ne?
I've got things to look into from that kōrero with Jared. Wow.
Well, you'll be more attuned to. It's another thing you're going to be attuned to now, and you're going to notice in your listening, ka rongo ana koe etahi e kōrero Māori ana. You go, oh, there's just things that you're going to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now that I'm aware of it.
Hoi anō te whānau, e mihi ake ana kia koutou, tēnā rawatu koutou mō koutou e tautoko mai nei I te punua pāho o Taringa. Ngā mihi atu kia koutou katoa, ana atu ia māua, atu ia mātou o Taringa, o tira I te Wānanga o te roa. E mihi ake ana kia koutou huri huri noa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Hei kona mai rā.
Hei kona!
Bit whakaronga, bit kari kari. Gather up close, everybody, buddy. Taringa, taringa, taringa. Yeah, tahuri mai ki o. Whakarongo ki te tangi a te kori mako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds. Kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te. Kaupapa tino whakahira hira. Whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa, hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close, everybody. Gather up close, everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Taringa, he mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa, ā, nā te māngai pāho me irirangi te motu I tautoko. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Taringa, whakarongo mai.